Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to your Summerslam 2014 preview and predictions.
Oh yeah, guys, John here, aka VocalAggression for Summerslam preview and predictions. Cannot wait to do this. This looks like a pretty exciting card, the biggest party of the summer, SummerSlam 2014. I'm expecting a pretty solid show, Ashton.
Yeah, the card is looking pretty darn good. The big question for me though, John, what do you think the pre-show match is going to end up being?
Yeah, that's a very good question, Ashton. One has not been announced yet, and as I read a few days ago, it's interesting to note that neither Sheamus nor the Usos are on this card. So I will say my personal prediction. I can't give you an exact match, but I do think the Usos will be involved, whatever it
Maybe
is.
it'll be a six-man tag involving all three of those guys.
Yeah, maybe it'll be like Sheamus and the Usos versus Ryback and somebody else. I don't know. It'll be interesting how this all shakes out.
Indeed. Another possibility would be maybe the flag match, but I don't know.
Right, right. But I don't think so because the way that that's been billed, it seems like it's going to take place on the main card. So it'll be interesting if we even have a pre-show match and all. I don't know. Maybe they'll do like devoted to more hype this time around. It'll be interesting how WWE responds to this.
Are they doing an hour-long kickoff for this?
I still think the kickoff should be at like 7:30. I don't think it is an hour-long kickoff.
Interesting. All right, well, hey, you know what? Let's just get right into it then. And hey, since I already said that there's a possibility that it might be the kickoff match, the reason I said that was because I think it's the least relevant match on the card, so let's just get right into discussing it. The flag match, Jack Swagger versus Rusev.
This match has taken a very interesting turn, Ashton, because you know what I've been saying to you in conversation. You know what I've been saying on TwitWow, that I think they did this match to achieve two goals, to give Swagger the win and to protect Rusev. But something interesting happened, because from what I understand, the rules of this match aren't what I thought they were. It turns out this is apparently going to be an actual wrestling match, and whoever wins gets to have their flag raised and their respective anthem played. So that kind of changes things a little bit.
Rusev's winning.
That's what I'm inclined to believe. I can't imagine Rusev's first big loss being at the hands of Jack Swagger.
Right.
No offense to Swagger, but I think that's
Dude,
going
I
to be
was horrified that they were going to hand him his first big loss to Reigns.
right. Yeah, absolutely. And so, because of that, I would just have to think that Rusev comes out on top here. And plus, when you really look at the feud itself, it seems like for the most part, Swagger's been coming out on top a lot lately, whether it's with Rusev or matches in preparation for Rusev. I mean, he's beaten guys like Cesaro, Alberto Del Rio, and others to just kind of build himself up.
And not only has he beaten them, but he's beaten them cleanly for the most part.
Cleanly and by submission as
Of all
well.
things,
of,
yeah.
of all things. So Swagger, you can't even say that he doesn't have a lot of momentum. Quite the contrary. I think he's riding a boatload of it going into SummerSlam. So I'm just inclined to think because of the nature of the rules that it is an actual wrestling match, with the flag being only after match implications, I'm going to shift what I've been saying for weeks. I am going to say Rusev crushes and gets the win.
Yeah, absolutely. I said it earlier. I'll say it again. Yeah, Rusev wins. Just the idea that they're gonna do the flag and the anthem, like I don't know. There's just how much more heat can you possibly get than putting out the freaking Russian flag and playing the Russian national anthem? You know what I mean?
Yeah, the changes that they made, unless this is what they planned all along, then I would have misspoke here. But the idea that they're going to do the flag match this way is how I'll put it. Makes me far more invested than what I initially would have been. 'Cause I think this could be a great heat magnet for Rusev, and I've been saying it for a while now. I think when this program is over, Rusev's next pit stop is Sheamus for the United States Championship. So what a great image to go off on before going into that program.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I mean,
Rusev.
the fact that it has the different rule doesn't make me more invested, but if anything, it makes the outcome more obvious to me.
Right, right.
So, all right, well, hey, let's go ahead and move on. Man, there are a lot of big non-title matches in this, so let's talk about completely regardless of title. Let's just talk about the least relevant match after the flag match, and I think that that's probably the Miz versus Dolph Ziggler for the IC title.
Yeah. This is interesting because these guys killed it on Raw when it was a non-title match, and Ziggler just wanted some measure of comeuppance against The Miz for how he just snuck in the Battle Royal at Battleground and just eliminated Dolph Ziggler after he eliminated Sheamus. And yes, he still can't believe he did that. But they had a great clinic on Raw. The funny thing is with both guys, I've been a huge fan of Ziggler for a long time. I know you are too. And even Miz, I've been praising lately, which I thought that day would never come because this gimmick to me just works. It fits his obnoxiousness, it fits his annoyance, I think, to a T. And I think he's finally found something where he really feels comfortable in there, at least to me, where it doesn't seem like he's trying too hard. Um, it's funny because if the Bell reports that we read for what amount of time that each match is getting, this match is only slated to get 10 minutes, which is kind of disappointing because I think these guys could have a hot opener. I think this should be the official opening contest for SummerSlam. Should be a great match. As far as who's going to win, I'm still going to say Miz because I'm still sticking with my theory. Whatever heel was going to be IC champion was going to keep it until Bad News Barrett returns, and even he might not regain it right away. So I say Miz for the time being. He goes over here.
Yeah. Two little tidbits on this. First of all, you said that the Miz, you've been enjoying his work. I never thought I'd say this, but I actually have too. But the big problem here is that even somehow when you and I feel to a degree that the Miz has figured something out, it's not working. And the reason I say it's not working isn't necessarily because it's just not entertaining or it's bad. It's because nobody's reacting to it. Like you and I can say, oh, the Miz is doing the best work of his career all we want. But unless crowds start reacting to it, it doesn't freaking matter because the crowds, when his music hits, you don't hear nuclear heat. You don't hear, oh, Miz sucks, boo. All you hear is crickets.
And I think that's why, even though what he's doing is fine now, I think the game needs to be upped a little bit. Like, I think you're absolutely right. Crowds aren't really reacting. And I'm not placing blame on anybody here when I say this, but when you look back on what happened on this past SmackDown with Roman Reigns just totally punking him out on Miz TV, like, that really doesn't do anything for him. It doesn't make him look like, oh, this is why I should pay attention to The Miz, who is the Intercontinental Champion. I mean, he got punked out, plain and simple. I do think he's going to retain probably through dirty tactics here. And maybe Dolph will get another rematch at Night of Champions. See, that's going to be another interesting thing too, because every title is supposed to be on the line. So where do guys like Miz and Sheamus really go from here, being the mid card champions? So I could see an unclean finish, but I do see Miz coming out on top.
Yeah, I agree. I believe Miz is going to come out on top. But then the other tidbit that I was saying, because I did say I had two,
Yes.
Bad News Barrett did tweet that he wanted to show up at SummerSlam to deliver some bad news.
Oh, maybe he'll be back in time for Night of Champions.
That was my thought exactly, actually. I feel like it's possible.
Yeah, so you know what? That only reinforces even more so, Ashton, my belief that Miz is going over. And then at Night of Champions, we're either going to get a one-on-one match between Miz and Barrett, or depending on the finish of this match, a triple threat match involving Dolph Ziggler. So,
Yep. I don't know. It's possible. Just going to go ahead and read Bad News Barrett's tweet word for word. Off to LA for at WWE hashtag SummerSlam. I've got the itch to deliver some bad news while I'm out there. Hashtag BNB. So I do think there is a definite possibility that Bad News Barrett will show up at SummerSlam, possibly even to just straight up challenge whoever comes out of this match as champion for the title.
yeah, absolutely. And you know that if it is Miz, because again, those are both of our predictions, then BNB I think would be the face in
Yep.
that situation. I could see the crowd receiving him very well
And
in
speaking
that.
of faces, I think that this worked out really well, and it almost seems like they did it intentionally. That the Miz has been trying to protect his moneymaker, and Bad News Barrett's finisher is an elbow to the face.
Yeah, they're gonna really play that up, I guarantee you. And actually, you bring up another good point because I wonder how that's gonna affect the psychology of this match. Like, will Miz have to overcome that phobia of getting hit in the face?
I think the only thing that it might happen is if Dolph goes for a super kick, because none of Dolph's other offense is really face oriented. It's all back and neck oriented.
I could see him going for the super kick so that Miz would turn around abruptly, so that he would really position himself to be hit with a zigzag.
Well, isn't that
And
how he beat him before?
yeah, I think so. So I think Ziggler would try and repeat that, but then Miz would kind of, be onto it.
Miz
And
would grab the ropes, and the power of
yeah,
his back would break the move.
exactly. Yeah, I could see a lot of that being played up in the context of this match, which should make it a lot of fun. And then I'm really glad you mentioned that about BNB because I think they could have a lot of fun with that angle there too.
Absolutely. All right. So up next, and we agree, both of us think Miz is winning this, by the way. So we
Yeah.
are unanimous so far. We both think that Rusev's winning. We both think the Miz is winning. So let's move on. Let's move on to a match that is a little bit more kind of tough to say. AJ Lee versus Paige for the Divas Championship. I think a lot of people are saying that there's a possibility that Paige wins the title back, but it's also one of those things where AJ, she's only ever held the title for one time, and it was for almost a year consecutive.
Right. It's it's funny how much, because like there were certain matches on this card, Ashton, that I had my prediction, and you could have said I made that prediction in a realm of certainty. Like, this is what's going to happen. I can't conceive of anything else happening. And really, even this match, which used to be in that category, I can't be sure anymore, because even though I do think she would be squashed, I can't get over the fact that Eva Marie has beaten AJ Lee twice, and I don't know if they've got any plans for Eva Marie. So it's kind of throwing me off my game a little bit, because I was convinced that, Paige makes this turn and she's got the Divas Championship all wrapped up. She's playing the head games. Even commentary noted on SmackDown that Paige is in AJ's head so bad that just the sight of her, AJ can't focus. She's like a loose cannon. So you'd think they'd play up that element at SummerSlam. Maybe she makes a sloppy mistake. Paige capitalizes, got a champion. But you know what? I think I'm going to go against my better judgment, and I'm going to say that I think AJ retains here. Yeah.
I think that AJ retains here too, but I also think that Paige is going to win the title at either Night of Champions or I believe Hell in a Cell would be the one after that.
Right.
I think this feud is going to continue because you say something about Eva Marie. To me, the only reason Eva Marie ever got brought up in the first place is because the WWE recognizes that she is generally perceived as the worst diva on the roster. So they said, how do we really humiliate AJ Lee? Have her lose to the worst diva on the roster thanks to Paige. And not only
Right.
once, but twice. So I don't think that they brought Eva Marie in because they plan on pushing her to any degree. I think they just brought her in as that role. Like, you're
That,
gonna like kind of like what they would do like if it was Zack Ryder or if it was men, like just the complete
right.
like the biggest joke on the roster gets like that happened too with Fandango. Like, yeah, like they didn't bring Zack Ryder in to be like, oh, we're gonna push Zack Ryder now. They brought Zack Ryder in to be like, haha, Fandango's losing everything.
Or, but then I guess that example doesn't really work because he has been on kind of a mini winning streak lately. But Heath Slater pinning Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose is kind of reveling in that. Like you lost to a guy that mainly just jobs most of the time.
Well, you
But
can't even say he's on a mini winning streak because he lost to Ziggler then, didn't he? Or no, he did beat Ziggler.
no, he
Never
didn't.
mind. So
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
you do have a little bit of a point there, but still, I don't think that's going to amount to anything.
I don't think so either. I'm actually kind of intrigued where WWE will take that. But to bring it back, this should be a great match. Again, my contentions about the story, but I think Ashton made some great counterpoints. And then that Reddit thread that he referenced about Paige's true character and stuff, I thought was brilliant.
Yeah, I
But
think that Paige's ultimate goal here, I think that her character is patient. I think that she is willing to wait it out, wait for AJ to snap and make that fatal mistake that you were referring to. I don't think that she is going to try and force it at SummerSlam. I think that she's going to just kind of let the cards fall as they may, and if Paige ends up coming out on top, then she would be happy. But I don't think that either one of us should count on Paige winning this match. I'm personally also picking AJ Lee, which surprises me because I thought you were going to pick Paige.
yeah, believe me, I surprised myself because again, it's like I told you, there were predictions that I made before coming here to actually, formally record them that reside in a realm of certainty. I'm like, I'm sure I've got it. I'm sure that's right. But it's amazing some of the directions these stories have taken, and Paige AJ being one of them. And you know what? For the record, I hope you're right. I hope these guys go another two bouts for Night of Champions and Hell in a Cell, respectively, because I still think that these guys, and they're not even doing atrocious now. That's not to say that, but I still think these guys can reach that level of like, wow, those women did something special.
Right.
And I think SummerSlam is going to be another chapter in that saga. I think these guys will have a great outing with whatever amount of time they're given. And yeah, I think AJ will come out on top. But as you said, Paige is patient. And, there aren't really many top contenders. I'd say Naomi would probably be her biggest threat. Maybe even someone below her. But she'd probably get through them. And she'll be
Sasha!
back there. Sasha, but yeah. Yeah, still waiting, man. Still waiting. But yeah, should be a great match. AJ retains.
Absolutely. All right. So up next, let's just talk about Bray Wyatt versus Chris Jericho to get it out of the way. I think that it's a pretty safe assumption to make that Bray is going to win this, despite Luke Harper and Eric Rowan being banned from ringside.
Yes, this is the only one that I think is still residing in the realm of certainty, believe it or not, is this matchup. I completely think Bray is winning. I think he's getting his win back from Battleground after Jericho pulled off what I thought was a huge upset. And yeah, Luke Harper, Eric Rowan banned from ringside. I like this because it's time that Bray shows that he doesn't need anybody to protect him. He can assert his own dominance. Not to give it any credence, but I did want to throw out. I have heard one fan theory. I think people are still thinking that Sister Abigail is actually going to turn out to be a thing, turn out to be a diva or something, and that she's going to debut. I doubt it. If that would
Hasn't it
happen,
been kind of canonized that Sister Abigail is dead?
see, and that's what I thought too. That's why I'm kind of baffled that theories like that are coming out there because the way he speaks of her, it sounds like she's deceased. Sounds like something happened and she's dead. So yeah, I definitely see Bray winning this on his own merits, no shenanigans, nothing like that, and that's how it should be. I mean, that's what I think was his standout moment when he did that against Bryan at the Rumble last year, and I
Yep.
think he'll have another standout moment here when he does it on his own. It'll be great to see Bray back in that kind of environment. Bray Wyatt wins in what I think could be, a very entertaining match now that, no shenanigans and everything, it's all ousted. So I'm excited.
Absolutely. Man, we are flying through these. Let's get into, I'm going to call it our first hour. And by first hour, I really just mean first half main event. Basically, the match that sends you into your intermission, which we'll get to the intermission match here soon. But yeah, Seth Rollins versus Dean Ambrose lumberjack match.
Yeah, very interesting the turns this feud has taken. And you know what? It's a lumberjack match. I mean, Dean said it's so that Seth can't run. Run, Seth! Run while you still can! But, it's going to be surrounded by people. People are going to surround the ring that hate both of these guys. So, it's not like Dean's giving himself a leg up either. He just wants to make sure that Seth can't get out.
Right.
He wants to suffocate him. He wants to give him that feeling of imprisonment. And yet,
He
would you
wants to
believe
take away the control.
Exactly. And yet, would you believe that through it all, I'm still not convinced that Dean is going to come away with the win? I mean, if he was going to come away with a win, it would be now. He's been put through so much. You'd think he'd be due for that big win. But I just don't know, man. The authority just has that way of thinking you think the babyface is finally going to get their comeuppance, only to have it yanked away from him again. So I'm kind of waffling on this match. But I think I'm going to go with your basic traditional storytelling. I am going to say that Dean finally gets a measure of revenge here, and he goes over.
See, and this is where my immense fandom for Dean Ambrose makes me make mistakes
Right,
because I don't want to say that I think Dean Ambrose is going to win this match because I feel like if I do, it'll be like homerism, like me being a mark for Dean, like, oh, he has to win every match. But on that same note, I feel like he should. So it's a tough call for me just
right.
because like I'm trying to find that balance between letting my markdom blind me and trying to be more objective. But I feel like objectively he should win, but at the same time, like you said, it's the frickin' authority. Who's to stop corporate Kane from getting involved in this?
Or from assembling his own people to participate as lumberjacks, because he didn't even specify like who would be
Yeah,
lumberjacks in this match.
right.
And I understand your concern because you haven't established as like the huge Dean Ambrose fan between the two of us. But I
And like,
think
here's the funny thing: like, my mom really started getting into Ambrose a month or two ago, and she was really starting to get invested, and then he lost a match and she was all disappointed. And I said, listen, Mom, rule number one of being a Dean Ambrose fan, never expect him to win. And I feel like I need to apply that here and call the Seth Rollins win. But on that same note, I feel like my own cynicism with Dean Ambrose's booking is clouding my judgment because, like, logically, I should be saying Ambrose is going to win. Ambrose is going to win. Come on, make this make sense. Ambrose has got to win. But I just don't know. I'm conflicted. John, help.
it's probably one of the hardest matches on this card, at least in my personal opinion. There are a couple other tough ones, but I'm probably would be deemed insane for the ones that I think are a bit tougher to call. But as far as this one goes, I mean, he's been on the receiving end of so many beatdowns and so many humiliating moments. And has he gotten things here and there? Yeah, but not to the same measure as Seth Rollins. I mean, not even close. So to me, it's almost like how can I put this? Because see, I too am kind of walking that tightrope because I think Dean has been one of the best acts in WWE in recent months as a babyface. I mean, the way he's clicking with the crowd is insane. I almost feel like Dean has to win this match because if Seth wins, I'd still be drawn into the program and I'd still watch. I mean, you know that, but I think it would lose some of its punch if Dean doesn't get the win here.
I don't know, but
Um,
here's the thing, John. You have to think of it this way. If Dean Ambrose wins,
right,
where do we go from here?
that is true.
If Seth Rollins wins, Dean can keep on preventing him from cashing in, and it's almost like he never lost anything.
Right. Because in the end, he's not letting Seth Rollins get the big catch, and by the big
Right.
catch, I mean the WWE World Heavyweight Championship.
Exactly.
It's oh god. See, it's so because see, here's the funny thing, and I'm not trying to blame this. I'm just making a statement. If Dean had gone the route that I thought he would go, and it would be like a hardcore, really barbaric match, I would have picked Seth Rollins hands down, believe it or not. Because I would have thought, well, he is picking his environment. So it would only make sense for Seth to overcome when it seems like everything is stacked against him. Even though that really should be the babyface's job, I could see Seth pulling that off. But a lumberjack match is just such a weird option that doesn't really benefit either guy. They're still on equal footing. So the question is, who would you expect to come out on top in a match where everything is level? And I don't know.
You know what? Screw it. I am not turning back from here. I am following rule number 1 of being a Dean Ambrose fan. I am picking Seth Rollins to win.
You know what? I think I'm going to join you. It's such a tough call. I think, though, I've been feeling this way for a while. I'm going to join you. I say Seth Rollins wins.
It's
Tough,
painful,
man.
isn't it?
It's so, this is probably one of the toughest matches called because you know what? I think you made a point though, Ashton. I think you really made your case when you said, "Where do we go from here?" And everybody says that Dean Ambrose always a lunatic, always a lunatic. Well, what's the one thing that we know about a lunatic? If they don't get what they want first, they are the most relentless people on the planet. And if he doesn't get Seth Rollins here, I guarantee you they're going to have a match somewhere down the line that'll be the crescendo, so to speak, of this feud, where just all chips are on the table. Like
I could see them turning Night of Champions into a night where everything gets defended, regardless of whether it's actually a championship or not. And that's when they put the briefcase on the line.
And when the briefcase was put on the line, that's when I think Dean will get his comeuppance.
Exactly, because that's when it matters most. And with psycho baby faces like Dean Ambrose, they always bring their A game when it matters most.
And really, you got to think about this while we're on that psycho line of thought. To him, it's probably not even so much beating Seth Rollins' formula. He just wants to tear him apart. That's all.
And I don't even think he wants to tear him apart. I think he wants to just wreck him mentally and emotionally.
Oh, dude!
Like, I think Dean Ambrose wants to make Seth Rollins really think about whether he wants to continue in this line of work or not.
I know, right? Like Night of Champions goes off for their particular match, and he's just waving that briefcase in front of Seth Rollins' face, and he's
then you just see like a cutaway to Seth Rollins sitting in his hotel room with a bottle of wine, trying to figure out what went wrong.
It's like it all started when I was born. Just puts the bottle down. But yeah, I mean, I think you make a great point there because the babyface, I think, comes out on top when it does matter most. I think you have an excellent point. Like when Shawn Michaels, right, and Triple H had their feud. He beat him at SummerSlam, but then Triple H allegedly, paralyzed him, taking that sledgehammer to the back. But when did Shawn Michaels come back? When he knew he could take what mattered most to Triple H, the World Heavyweight Championship, and he did in the very first Elimination Chamber. That's classic storytelling for somebody you really hate, and that's where I feel like these two guys are. So what better way to hurt Seth Rollins than to take his guaranteed future that he's been so pompous about? So yeah, I like your line of thinking. Seth goes over here, but I would even say that I like your idea even more about him losing the briefcase at Night of Champions. So
Yep.
We'll see how it happens.
All right. Well, we're in agreement about everything so far. I need to try and find something where we're going to disagree, but I don't think I'm going to. So what I'm going to do is I mentioned that this past match was like the main event match leading up to the first intermission, and I think that our intermission in this pay-per-view is going to be Brie Bella versus Stephanie McMahon.
Again, this is another matchup like Jericho Wyatt. This is probably the only other match on this card that I can think of, unless maybe you remind me of one that I've forgotten about, that resides in the realm of certainty. I absolutely believe Stephanie McMahon is winning this match, without question. I'm still banking on that Nikki Bella heel turn. And what's funny is that Nikki is slated to be in the corner of Brie, and Triple H is slated to be in the corner of Stephanie. So yeah, I think Stephanie's winning, but kind of working backwards from that. For the most part, I've enjoyed the build of this story, but I think they took a really wrong turn with this Megan Miller crap.
Honestly, dude, I think that what the problem is they blew their load with like the climax of the build a week too early. I feel like that contract signing where Triple H shoves Brie into the corner and then Stephanie Does the Steph agree to both Nikki and Brie? That should have been the last image that we saw going into SummerSlam. They should have just figured out a way to push that back a week, do that this past week on Raw, cut the Megan Miller crap, which adds absolutely nothing to this story whatsoever, and then just go into it with the blood feud, Stephanie versus Brie, Stephanie having gotten the most recent upper hand.
I completely agree with you on all counts, bro. In fact, it's funny you said that the Megan Miller, adds nothing, because not only does it add nothing, I think it detracts quite a bit, at least
Oh,
from
it
where I'm
does.
sitting.
No doubt about that.
Even Daniel Bryan said, if you guys haven't seen the interview he gave, I think it was to IGN,
He
and he said,
basically said that it was cringeworthy.
yeah, it was cringe, right? He thought it was absolutely stupid. While he's proud of both women, and for the record, so am I. I think it's amazing that, this women's matchup is such a big, or at least they wanted it to be such a big attraction for SummerSlam. Whether it succeeds or not, well, that will reflect in the pay-per-view buys somewhere down the line. But, they've given this a lot of time. They gave it 2 main event slots, back-to-back weeks. So they've put a lot of time into this, I think. But they had such a simple narrative going. The husband gets abused, the abuse of authority, figures, all these people getting, oppressed and pushed down underneath their boot. And now Brie is, she's the rebel now that Brian's out of commission. And it's a great story. But that Megan Miller stuff, it takes it from really compelling wrestling storyline to just plain soap opera. That said, though, I do think these women will have an interesting matchup. I've heard they've been working really hard together in the ring, training for this match. It'll be interesting to see what Stephanie can do in the ring again after I think it's been a decade since she's last been in the ring. So I'm interested to see what both parties can do. Stephanie McMahon wins. And really, yeah, to touch on that just very quickly, if the Nikki Bella heel turn does materialize, I'll be interested to see how audiences receive that feud, because I think you and I have said that Nikki Bella could make a pretty solid heel, and that Brie, I think, is just the more natural babyface between the two of them. So a feud between them could work.
Yeah. I mean, you pretty much said everything. Stephanie wins. End of story.
Yeah.
So the reason I said this is our intermission match is because it's like the cool down match for when we have the 2 big name matches.
Yeah, exactly.
Because up next we're going to talk about Roman Reigns versus Randy Orton. And honestly, I mean, if any match on this card was super obvious as to who the winner's going to be, it's this.
See, this is where I'm gonna make you happy, because I know you said, like, we really haven't disagreed on anything, but we're about to, because I just have this sinking feeling that Randy Orton's coming out with a victory.
There is a 2% chance that Orton wins this.
You know what? I'm sticking with that 2%.
John, you've been saying it since Survivor Series. You should never bet against Roman Reigns.
Yeah, and you know what, though? Like, I think WWE is starting to buy into that philosophy, and that's exactly why now. It's like, how we always used to joke, when Jerry Lawler gets onto something, that's when it's time to stop, because he's killed it. Well, it seems like WWE has been like, yeah, Roman, just go in there and destroy everything. And now that's kind of like where I'm just going to take a step back.
I think you need to take a step back if you seriously think Orton has a chance at winning this.
Well, at the same time, I mean, I said that the Usos were going to beat the Wyatt family the first time at Battleground. We didn't think there was any way that was going to happen, and they came out on top. Sometimes my obscure feelings come to prophesize. Now, this, I think, has a more lethal chance. We're talking about Roman freaking Reigns, the next guy. For sure. You even had the best line, I still think about it, who's going to rip the torch out of Cena's hand while it's still burning. Or Lesnar, which we'll get to next after this. But I don't know, dude. He's been on such a ridiculous role. You've already mentioned how people are turning on him already. And maybe WWE is noticing that, and maybe
nope. WWE has no freaking clue, and if they do not give a crap.
And you know what? You're probably right, but I still, just something nagging in the back of my mind that Randy Orton is going to come out on top.
Don't you cost us the Puitoff Tag Championship.
Hey, I saved us the Puitoff Tag Team Championships last pay-per-view with the Swagger getting counted out and other predictions, okay? Trust me on this. And another thing, SummerSlam is Randy Orton's pay-per-view, okay? Like, SummerSlam is to Randy Orton what WrestleMania, well, used to be for The Undertaker. So, if Roman Reigns is ever going to lose, it would be to Randy Orton, and it would be on this stage. I'm picking Randy Orton to beat Roman Reigns. I don't know how, but he's going to get the job done.
What did Orton do at the last SummerSlam?
What did he do? Didn't he cash in on Daniel Bryan and win?
Oh, crap, you're right.
Yeah. Freaking, I think he's gonna beat Roman Reigns. I feel it, man. It
I
sucks.
just can't logically make that happen. Like, how does that make sense, though?
And then what are you gonna say though if it does happen on live reactions? Because
Wow, a lot of times.
because I'll be honest, I don't think I'd be able to suppress the troll laugh. I think that would be the time where it does come out. Because I think everybody and their mothers is betting the house on Roman Reigns. And if that's the case, I'm going to walk away a hell of a lot richer if I'm right. Which, again, as I always say, my track record speaks for itself. Say of it what you will. But I don't know, man. If there was ever a time to bet against Roman Reigns, I'm thinking it's SummerSlam and I'm thinking it's Randy Orton. Oh God.
See, but here's like my thing, John, is that everything that you're saying, I wish that I could buy into 100% because I wish that the WWE would have the sense to have Roman Reigns get that big loss out of his system now because it's going to be a while before it ever happens again. But I just don't feel like it's going to happen. Like I feel like they are just going to keep pushing him until he gets to the top of the mountain and loses his first WWE title match, and then everybody stops caring.
And you know what, dude? See. Here's the thing. Like, I'm not even feeling that contentious towards you because I completely understand where you're coming from. Like, I'm not even gonna try and show a lot of resistance because everything you're saying makes sense. Like, when John Cena was on the rise, going into WrestleMania 21, the only big loss, if you even want to consider it that I remember him suffering was when he dropped the United States Championship to Orlando Jordan. That was the biggest loss I remember him suffering. So you got to wonder, what would they classify a big loss to Roman Reigns as? I don't freaking know. Because to me, and everybody's been saying this, I'm going to say this right now. Part of me does believe the end game is going to be Reigns Lesnar WrestleMania for the championship. I don't know how they're going to get there. It may not even be this pay per view. I'm not even saying that's going to be my formal prediction for the next match. But part of me does believe that is the end game. But at the same time, it's like Randy Orton got that huge beat down on Reigns. He beat the crap out of him. So then you'd think, oh, well, Reigns is going to come back. But then ever since then, he's just been a locomotive just straight down the track, running roughshod through everybody until Randy Orton's the last person standing. So he could hurt him the most. And Randy Orton, on the other hand, really hasn't done much since then. That's the funny thing. Like, he got the win over Sheamus, I remember. But other than that, as far as Roman Reigns is personally concerned, I don't remember much. Just something's telling me to give the leg up here to Orton. So, yeah, I'm saying Orton's going to beat Roman Reigns.
This is so difficult.
Collective sigh. I know. It's not easy for me either, dude. Like, I don't make this with ease because I get everything that you're saying. Everybody that's probably going to comment on this is just like, John, you just screwed Ashton over. You just screwed both the guys. I'm like, I'm sorry. Because I think everybody's with you. I think it's almost illogical to say that Roman Reigns is going to lose. I just have that gut feeling, and I've betrayed my gut feeling before and it hasn't paid me. I'm just going to try and listen to it just this once. If it goes wrong, I will never listen to it again. I promise.
I think that my biggest thing, though, is that now you're making me rethink the Swagger Rusev match, too.
Really? See, because ever since those rules got in place that it was an actual wrestling match, I thought they would give it to Rusev. So I was
Yeah,
more
but on that
on that.
same note, you have to think it's Vince McMahon. It's the McMahon ego. Is he really going to let some other country's national anthem play in his house?
Oh God! Why'd you have to say it like that? Because that's a great point too. Oh crap! What's happening? Everything's unraveling. All the predictions we did are coming undone. I don't know, dude. Oh God. Oh, this is gonna be an interesting debate in the comments, I'm sure. I'm sticking with Rusev. I can't go back on that now. That's gonna be some crazy stuff. But Orton and Reigns. See, I say Orton, but there is a part of me that wants to budge. I can't lie, but
No,
I think
you
I'm
know
gonna.
what? You know what?
Yeah.
I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna say I'm gonna. Oh my God! I am going to stick with Rusev, and I'm gonna go with my gut feeling, and I'm gonna say Reigns wins.
All right, that's good. I like that. I like that. In fact, when this is all over, I'm gonna have to rethink how many babyfaces I've picked to win so far and how many heels, because that's another thing I have to consider too. Because just putting that out there for everybody, my Tweet-Off predictions might be different than my video predictions. I've done it before, so
Yeah,
we'll see if
same
they come out
here.
right.
Same here, dude.
Yeah.
Same here.
So yeah.
Well, no,
With
wait a
the,
minute. We picked Stephanie McMahon, Bray Wyatt. Well, you picked Randy Orton, Seth Rollins, Rusev, The Miz, AJ. The only babyface that you have picked to win any match tonight was AJ.
Oh God, it's gonna be a Levy SummerSlam. I don't know what to do. Okay. Well, do you have anything else you want to say about Orton Reigns, or
Oh my
do we just?
god.
I'm sorry, man. I'm just being honest.
But baby faces need to win too.
I know, dude. I know. So maybe, see, but
Oh
now,
god, that means John Cena's gonna win.
oh, dude, don't even go there because that was another conversation I dreaded having with you when we got to this match. Oh God, everything's falling apart. Because I don't know. Look, the only other babyface I could see winning, admittedly, would be Swagger because of the implications of the storyline. That's why I'm saying on Puitov, I might just pick Swagger to win. But here, I really just think I'm going to stick with Rusev because it's a pinfall submission type matchup. I don't
Oh
know.
crap, John, apparently we have a kickoff match announced.
Oh, what is it?
Cesaro versus RVD.
Oh, RVD's winning that. Actually, no.
No,
Actually, no. Yeah,
Cesaro's
Cesaro
winning
should
that.
win that because I think RVD's leaving again after this. So
Yeah.
Cesaro for the win.
Yeah,
Hooray!
Cesaro's winning that. We agree on that. Okay.
Okay, thank goodness.
All right, let's do it. John Cena, Brock Lesnar. What are we
Oh,
gonna do?
God. I thought this was gonna be another easy one. So, dude, let me just ask you. Let's calm down. Well, and by we I mean me. Let me just calm down. Do you have? And I'm being totally serious. Do you have any legitimate concerns that Cena is retaining the championship?
Of course.
Okay, so I do too. Okay, so we're both. I'm not crazy because you're sharing it with me. So if anything, we're both crazy at best. Okay.
No, we're not crazy. We're wrestling fans. We know what the WWE does. We know that LOL Cena wins.
You know what the really sad thing is? Because we mentioned Puitov before. John Cena retaining and being John Cena, I think is one of
He's
the
been
primary.
so money for us.
I know, and that's why on Puitov at least I'll be so tempted to go with John Cena. But here's the thing, Ashton, and I'm really trying not to screw with you. I promise I'm not. I'm just being honest with my feelings. I've been saying to people I've talked to, like about my reservations of Cena winning, that if he does, I think Seth Rollins might cash in.
I
I
know, dude. That's oh my god.
Oh God.
And the crazy thing is, it's Brock. So if Cena does win and Brock beats the living crap out of him, I don't think that there is a more believable person to deliver a beatdown to keep Cena down for a 3 count with Rollins.
And see, here's the thing, dude. I'm just gonna take it one step further, and I'm so glad you and I are in more agreement than I really
Wait a
thought.
minute, wait a minute. Before you even go there, let me guess. You think Cena could still win even if Rollins does cash in?
Oh no, I'm not that crazy. Unless you are, which would surprise
No,
me.
that's
No,
what I was. That's what I was just thinking.
no, I was getting ready to say that if Dean would try and come out, I could see Brock in his rage intercepting Ambrose and neutralizing that interference between.
Because he's Plan C, works for the Authority now.
Exactly, he's a mercenary.
Oh God!
So what do we do? Because I am so conflicted right now. It is ridiculous. These last two matches, Reigns and Orton and Cena Lesnar, when I thought I would cruise in with an easy Puitov World Championship defense and tag title defense with you alongside me, these two matches could muck it all up for us. Because I don't know what to do. Because everybody's saying, like, from Jim Ross to a lot of wrestling fans that I've conversed with, they say it's simple. You give Lesnar the championship. He makes selective appearances. He loses at WrestleMania 31 to whoever it is. That's why I said it could be Cesaro, Reigns, somebody.
It could be Daniel Bryan or even John Cena again.
But here's my question, though, to those same people. Why wouldn't you believe that a guy that announcers and everybody has heralded as the greatest WWE champion of all time couldn't have that same effect in WWE's eyes for Reigns if they wanted to do Reigns Cena at WrestleMania 31?
And they've been teasing the crap out of that too.
Dude, what do we do?
I'll tell you what. This video is going to be my gut feeling predictions.
Oh, man.
And my gut feeling tells me Lesnar's going to win.
Okay.
I will overthink my predictions for Puitov, and I'll put my overly thought logic based predictions on there. But for SummerSlam predictions on this channel on YouTube, I am going pure gut based, which is why I said Rusev, which is why I said Reigns, and that's why I'm saying Lesnar.
Okay, I'll say Lesnar too. And really, the only reason I'm going to agree with you and say Lesnar is because, hilariously enough, the one in 21-1. I think because he just beat The Undertaker, I can't imagine Cena being that guy to have that privilege of beating that guy.
But John, Cena never faced Undertaker. If he would have, he probably would have been the one.
I know. But Let me just put it to you like this for everybody to understand. I think for here, I'm sticking with Ashton. For Lesnar on Puitov, though, I might just say Cena wins with a Seth Rollins cash in. I think I'm going to go just absolutely crazy with that. That's what I'm
See,
thinking.
I won't go that far. I might say Cena wins on Puitov, but I will not say Rollins cashes in. And the number one reason for that is because where the frick does Dean Ambrose go from there if he does?
Make
Ambrose is not going to be in the title picture. You can guarantee that. If Rollins cashes in, Night of Champions is going to be Cena versus Rollins one-on-one. But then where the frick does Dean Ambrose fit in?
maybe. God, it's
See,
so.
that's why I'm saying it makes no
Yeah,
sense for Rollins to cash
right.
in already. And plus, dude, think of it this way. We've had 3 consecutive SummerSlams with cash-ins.
That's true. Oh my God, you're right about that. Because Orton last year, who cashed in the year before that? Was
In
it?
2012, wasn't there a cash-in in 2012?
I thought.
Oh, wait. No, 2012 was the Lesnar Triple H match. But okay, so 2 of the last 3 years have had cash-ins to close the show. Last year with Orton, and then 2011 with Del Rio.
Right, right. So, yeah, this is gonna be a pain in my ass. All right, I think Lesnar's winning. Lesnar's winning, um, and should be a great match. I'm excited. I think the hype they've done for it is fantastic. I think they've made Lesnar look like the ultimate prize fighter. Heyman is just a great promoter. Cena's serious promos have been on point. You know, for the main event of SummerSlam, this feels like a worthwhile SummerSlam main event with the build. I've got to commend WWE for that. I'm legitimately excited for this. And yeah, Lesnar emerges as the new WWE World Heavyweight Champion.
It's just crazy to think about, isn't it?
I know. Yeah, Lesnar's going to be our champion. I really think, yeah. Um, and I think he'll be great. Like I said, I know some people have made complaints against the part-time argument, and hell, I was a part of that chorus when it was The Rock. But Lesnar's just got a whole nother level of legitimacy about him that I think The Rock lacked, in my personal opinion, when he was champion.
Yeah, because
So,
with The Rock, there was always the possibility that you could say, "Oh, The Rock's soft. The Rock's not in ring shape. The Rock isn't a wrestler anymore. He's an actor." But Brock Lesnar never stopped fighting.
exactly. Exactly. I mean, he just transitioned from one thing to another. And yeah, the idea that he is in the kind of shape that he's in. I mean, even Paul Heyman said, hey, when you guys faced off at Extreme Rules 2012, I mean, Brock was only at 50%. This is 100% Brock Lesnar. That is scary to think about if you're Cena. And I love Brock Lesnar's line in the one video package. If I was still here, he'd be sitting at home eating Fruity Pebbles instead of getting paid to eat them. And he's going to leave him in a pool of his own blood, vomit, and urine. I mean, Lesnar is going to beat the crap out of Cena. There is no question about that. If Cena would retain, I guarantee you that Lesnar would probably be the guy to walk out on his own power, and Cena would probably need assistance. That's the kind of beatdowns that Lesnar delivers. But I do think Lesnar is going to win. He's an animal. He's malicious. And I think he's got Roman Reigns waiting in the wings whenever that may be. I think that's going to be the big program. So I'm just trying to think long term, and long term says Brock Lesnar.
Indeed. I don't know. I am kind of freaking out right now because I feel like so much is hinging on this show because there are a lot of matches that just flat out don't matter. Like we have the Brie Bella versus Stephanie and Wyatt Jericho and even like Swagger Rusev and Miz Ziggler. Like a lot of this stuff doesn't matter. But when you look at the big 3, Rollins Ambrose, Reigns Orton, Cena Lesnar, you look at those big 3 matches, and the winners of those matches will determine so much going forward. I mean, even if you look at the one that has the least implications, Reigns Orton, if Reigns wins, he's ripe for a title run like now. Because
Right.
he just beat the first ever WWE World Heavyweight Champion. If Orton wins, then you have to wonder where both of them go from that point. Because then you would almost think Orton would be number 1 contender. And then, heck, if Lesnar wins, we might get, for the first time ever, Orton versus Lesnar at Night of
Oh,
Champions.
yes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I know.
that's a match I've wanted.
It's
Yeah.
crazy to think about, but we also need to establish very clearly that the WWE World Heavyweight Championship is a championship and therefore must be defended at Night of Champions. So that almost makes me think, well, now what about Lesnar? Is Lesnar going to be working more dates? Is he going to work every pay-per-view between now and WrestleMania? Because, I mean, that would be one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, including WrestleMania, more pay-per-views after SummerSlam, does he have that many dates left? Because, I mean, frankly, he doesn't need to show up for any other dates other than just showing up the pay-per-view because Paul Heyman's a thing. But does he have 7 dates left to work?
See, the interesting thing here, Ash, and I'm really actually glad we're having this discussion here and now, is the way I see it working out, and I almost kind of like it like this, if they would go that route. This is just me spitballing here. I do see Lesnar working Night of Champions, if for no other reason, because when Cena falls, because he was a champion, you have to figure a rematch clause. So he'd work his rematch clause, and that's a thing. Not even focusing on the other matches right now. But then, I couldn't see him working Hell in a Cell. It doesn't seem like a big enough pay-per-view. Survivor Series, I actually could see Lesnar working that date. So maybe at Hell in a Cell, the main event would be a number 1 contendership match to go to Survivor Series. Kind of plan ahead or something. Then you do Survivor Series.
Yeah, but the thing that scares me is that we would get caught back in the trap of Cena versus Orton. Because, like, if Orton wins, and another option then would be Reigns versus Cena, which has been built to, but that should also, that feels like that should be a WrestleMania main event, not just a random October pay-per-view main event.
Right,
you know what I mean?
You cannot throw that match away.
But then, on the other hand, again, I say, what if we fall back into the trap of Orton Cena, where we get Randy Orton defeats Roman Reigns and Lesnar beats Cena 2 times in a row, Lesnar defeats Cena at SummerSlam, and then again at Night of Champions. Do we get Cena versus Orton for the number 1 contendership then at Hell in a Cell?
And see, I'm not trying to obstruct the conversation or to muddy the waters, but another thing that's just kind of pricking me like a thorn in my side is
Rollins.
What Rollins with that briefcase? What is the and see personally?
And dude, I don't know that you probably remember this, but I do want to reiterate it. I personally believe that Rollins will wait until either the day of WrestleMania or between Mania and the next Money in the Bank to cash in.
And see, here's my thing. I think I do remember you saying that, and I'll reinforce it right now by saying that I personally believe that Rollins should cash in on Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. I think that would be an amazing moment.
That would be ridiculous.
I mean, think about it.
I don't mean ridiculous in a bad thing. I mean ridiculous like hype.
Yeah. No, because the last time I remember a heel going off the air of a WrestleMania, I think it was WrestleMania 2000 when Triple H retained the title in that Fatal 4-Way-esque match with Big Show, Mick Foley, and The Rock.
Well, that kind of depends on how you interpret WrestleMania 30.
That's true.
Or no, not 30, 29.
29, yeah, because 29 was what?
The Rock versus Cena.
The Rock versus
Cena won the match, and everyone kind of hated him for it. And
I know, but I guess what I mean is like really clearly defined heel. Like this guy is supposed to be booed, and because we've been talking about Roman Reigns and just people turning on him and the tracks and the hype and the sympathy and all this, what sympathy would it generate when he wins the championship on the biggest stage, only to have it ripped away from him seconds later, and he has to chase it all over again? So I personally would have Rollins cash in on Reigns at WrestleMania.
Actually, John, the last heel that closed out WrestleMania would have been The Miz.
You know what? You're right. I didn't even think about The Miz.
I mean, it's really easy to block the fact that he main evented a WrestleMania out of your mind.
Yeah, I was just about to say. So you are right. You are right, but I still think, like, in this way, plus it would still be historic because it would be the first cash-in at a WrestleMania.
Yeah.
And that can't be ignored. And the idea that it would be former Shield mates, again, continuing their rivalry.
I know, dude!
Seth shifts from Dean to Roman because they haven't settled their business yet. I mean, Roman even kind of shrugged Seth off in the initial promo and he said, "You're only part of the problem." It seemed like Roman's main concern was Orton. Well, sooner or later, Seth and Roman are going to have to collide. So my thing is, Lesnar works the limited dates, drops it at WrestleMania to Roman, but then Roman immediately drops it to Seth, and Seth gets to crow on and on about how he main evented at WrestleMania, how he closed WrestleMania as the world champion, and you've got a super pissed Roman Reigns. So that's my game.
But then my question then has to be, will the WWE keep the Authority storyline going long enough for that to happen?
I would think.
Honestly, dude, like it's a year long that the Authority has existed at this SummerSlam. Do you really think they're going to let it go for that long? That's a big question in my mind.
You know what? You have a point there. You have a legitimate point there. If not the Authority the way we see it now, I think Seth Rollins is Triple H's kayfabe pet project. And I think, yeah, if anybody, Triple H, I think will stick with Seth Rollins till the very end until he gets that championship, and then maybe even they disintegrate for whatever reason. Maybe Seth gets a chip on his shoulder. Maybe he's kind of seeing a different light of things because the Shield, and I'm just going to refer to him as that because Dean Ambrose, Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, they're going to have a very interesting remainder of the year. I think this pay per view made that clear because you have Seth Rollins as Mr. Money in the Bank, he's facing Dean, and you have Roman Reigns facing Randy Orton. So they're already doing big things. What they do for the remainder of the year, which is getting closer and closer to the actual road to WrestleMania, is
Yeah.
going to leave me very intrigued because I've read some things that they're allegedly going to do together, and that makes me very excited. But that said, I don't know how that fits ultimately into the end game of WrestleMania. Uh, and then Lesnar comes in and he complicates things because if a guy like Cena was champion, I would feel more confident about, okay, well, Seth is going to do this and Roman is going to do this and Dean is going to do this. But Brock being Brock, I almost feel like one member of the Shield has to get left out of the cold. And as you can see by my prediction, Ashton, that would be Dean Ambrose, and
Ambrose,
that's to
yeah.
me. Unless, which I would also love to see him do, he would have a match with like a Triple H or something at WrestleMania. Because he also
That would be king right there.
yeah, because he even said, like, I have two enemies for life. It's Seth Rollins and it's Triple H. And he gets his one-on-one match with Hunter. So that could work. We have, and another freaking thing, and why didn't I even mention this?
Batista coming
Batista
back.
coming back.
Oh
And,
my God.
and heel
Well,
from
then you know what though? That gives us Batista versus Brock at one
Night
of
of
these pay-per-views coming up.
I would think even Night of Champions, now that I really think about it.
Yeah, that's possible.
I would seriously think Night of Champions. Question is, do I even want to see that match? I'm kind of wondering.
Does it really matter if you want to see it or not?
Yeah, it's
It's
gonna
not going to stop them from doing it.
yeah, it's definitely a match. It's gonna because you figure Guardians of the Galaxy killed it.
And it was an amazing movie too.
Yeah, from what I've heard, I'll have to check it out. When I'm able to. But they're gonna want to cash in on all that hype, all that prize, everything. I mean, Batista's stock I think is higher than it's ever
Dude,
been.
he shouldn't even be Batista. He should literally just wear his outfit from the movie and just be billed as Drax the Destroyer, and everything would be better.
Yeah, I know, right? Kids would immediately gravitate to that. So yeah, I don't even know why. Of course, when it comes down to the bottom of the ninth of this video, we're almost done, and I just have to blurt out, "Oh yeah, Batista's a thing." So
Or he could come back as Hollywood Batista.
give me my spotlight. So you've got Batista, you've got Roman Reigns, you've got Cena, you've got Orton, you've got Seth Rollins by contingency of Money in the Bank, and you know what? I think you've got even Dean because of his hatred for Seth Rollins and him swearing that he'll get in the way of Money in the Bank. You've got all these people. I've never seen such a crowded class of contenders.
I
It
know.
is ridiculous. It is. It. Oh my God, stupid. I don't know. I still say, of course, that Lesnar wins. That doesn't change the initial prediction of the Cena Lesnar SummerSlam, but how they book Lesnar as a champion, how they handle contendership, just everything, I think really is going to be crazy considering our crowded class. So,
Man, oh man, this is going to be crazy. Well, we've got all of our official predictions in, unless you guys are just to make everything clear, in case you guys were kind of fading in and out during our constant drivel. We both predicted Lesnar to win, technically, but we're probably going to end up changing that by the time it comes to Pleetoff. But for now, it's a unanimous Brock Lesnar victory.
yeah, the only one that we had a great disagreement about, I think, was Randy Orton Roman Reigns, because I'm putting the house in danger, making Randy Orton. So you know what? I gotta say, this preview and predictions I think served to really get me hyped for SummerSlam. Like I was already excited because it's always a big show and this and that, but when we really hashed out the possibilities and we put them out in the open, that just made me realize how really important this pay-per-view is, particularly the last three matches. So I'm excited for this show. Can't wait to do live reactions. I mean, is there anything else you want to say about it, Ashton?
No, I'm done talking.
All right, guys. I mean, that was it. Preview and predictions. John, aka Vocal Aggression. That's Ashton, aka Ian Izzle, my cohort and commentary here. We will see you again for SummerSlam 2014 live reactions. Oh, it's gonna be good. See you
Yeah,
there,
we're going to have
guys.
live reactions. We're going to do a brief review of the show after live reactions in the same video. So if you are not particularly interested in our live reactions, which I don't know why you wouldn't be, but if you aren't, just I'll put some kind of a link in the description for our live reactions video so that you can just click and go straight to the brief review on it. It'd probably only be like 5-10 minutes, but I guess it's better than nothing. And then, of course, the post SummerSlam Raw, which is almost always never as interesting as post WrestleMania Raw, but always pretty interesting relative to other Raws, which we will be reviewing on TwitWow.
Yeah, especially if the implications that you and I again have hashed out come to light. Oh, how that Raw is going to address all of those.
How are we going
It's
to
going
handle
to.
SmackDown since it's like 2 different seasons at this point?
I don't even know. I think
Maybe
again,
we just
yeah.
skip it.
Yeah, we just skip it. I think for this week because and I think really for maybe virtually every pay per view kind of week going forward,
Right.
maybe it would be best to just skip it because there's just going to be so much going on. But you know we'll be sure to do the touch ups on SmackDown, especially if something significant happens. But yeah, right now the main focus pay per views, Raws, and of course NXT.
Absolutely.
So yeah, you really made me realize how important and crazy this SummerSlam could be, dude. Holy
It's
crap!
crazy, man. It's going to be
Uh,
awesome. All right. We will see you guys for our live reactions tomorrow night.
oh yeah!
Baby!
Nice.